A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house. I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Morgen.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know.
What remaining of Edith
Or
Finch?
she thought that the mystery would be
Heißt
enough
das
to bring
Game.
me back.
Grafisch gesehen ganz genial.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Vor allem genial mit der Schrift, wie es projiziert wird. Siehst du, Hirsch, wenn er mich beobachtet? Die kleinste Reaktion und er merkt. Sackstachel.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Okay.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Wow. Also wir sind irgendwo in Washington. Schade, steht der Wagen da vergammelt.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
Okay, ich kann jetzt da zeigen, wo wir liegen.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Okay, wir gehen durch die Hundeklappe
Crawling through the
rein.
doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11. The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
Genial, wie das
But
gestaltet.
instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly. Or how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Schnell etwas umschalten, bin gerade wieder da. Nein, nicht so. Es sieht mega genial aus. Auch Tisch und alles. Und ey, ganz genial. Schau mal die Wellen. Ey, krass. Es ist wirklich mit Liebe zum Detail, mit der Leiter für die Bibliothek, alles. Wahnsinn. Nicht das Scorpion?
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Okay.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Er ist mega liebevoll mit der Familienfotos und alles. Weißt du, und dann nicht so perfekt aufgeräumt, so eine geschlackte Wohnung.
A lot of things got left
So
behind in the
wirklich
whirlwind of that last night. My mom wasn't much of an
ein
optimist,
gelebtes Haus.
but
Und das ist
she never
das, was
stopped
es
believing that my
ausmacht.
brother Milton was alive.
What the? Bauschuh?
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Okay. Creepy. Der mega liebevoll gemacht.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Ja, fast 100 geworden, hä? Fast 50. Ein Jahr alt, Gregory.
As a kid, I just assumed every house
What?
had peepholes and
Badzimmer?
sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Wieso versiegelt man Badzimmer? Hä? Calvin, 1950 bis 1961.
My Grandpa Sam spent
11 Jahre
7
alt.
years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Krass.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Barbara was a child star for 2 years,
Auch nur 16
until
Jahre alt
America
geworden.
grew out of it.
Wahnsinn.
Mom must have locked the 3rd floor stairs on the night we left.
Und alles Kochbücher, wenn man es so anschaut, irgendwie. Sam, mach mal einen roten auf, der ist sicher gut gegriffen.
Edie's father, Odin, built the original house.
Odin baute das Haus. Okay, ich bin in Valhalla. Wahnsinn. Die Sage mit dem gemalten Bild im Hintergrund beim Ding. Mount Everest. Wahnsinn.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
10 Jahre alt. Was ist denn am Haus passiert, dass alle Kinder so jung sterben? Mein
I
Gott.
spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Man sieht so richtig schön die Staubflocken rumfliegen. Ganz genial.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
20.000 Leaks an. Wieso verschließt man das Buch?
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Okay.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
What the...
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
Creepy.
But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. My Halloween candy was all gone. I kept eating and eating.
Okay, stop it.
I ate a lot of things that night. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat. I tried. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me. I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark. I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. Fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. Grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet. But also, I didn't. Passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
Okay, das ist creepy.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have. This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Noch etwas anderes gesehen.
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Wahnsinn, wie liebevoll gestaltet. Aber doch ein bisschen creepy mit den ganzen Geheimräumen. Und gut. Hui. Nein.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him.
Ich würde mir jedes Mal den Grind anschlagen, wenn ich unter dieser Brücke penne. So.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
Falscher Knopf wäre. Oh, was habe ich denn mit der Pause? Bis zur Unendlichkeit und noch viel weiter.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
Alvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind.
Wahnsinn.
That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind.
Oh,
And he did.
krass.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Wahnsinn.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
What? Krass, Leute. Ey.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Okay. Even anders. Also, ich komme jetzt gerade nicht mit, Sam.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
Das ist krass. Ja, ich kann nur ich verstand nur die Hälfte von dem, was du schreibst, von dem Fahrzeug. Also, ja.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it
Ja,
The
aber,
Surprise
weißt
Ending of Barbara Finch.
du, schreib's abeinander, weißt du, ein Teil ist zusammengeschrieben.
Barbara was famous
Urus
for her
kenne ich nicht. Okay.
Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie
Ich lese gerade
fans.
einen Comic aus
It
den
was
60er
just the
Jahren.
boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Muss das sein? Die verfickte Halloween-Melodie?
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you're...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And his was he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges grow. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Creepy as fuck.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending. I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.